Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's broadcast, as it will be the final call of the 2018 spring season. My name is Rich Borland, and in just a second, my partner for tonight's game, Mr. Dakota Brecht, will join me. Before we turn the page into summer, let's talk about where these teams stand heading into our 7th weekend here at Jimmy John's Field. The 9-6 Eastside Diamond Hoppers have taken the early lead and are in front by just a game and a half of the Westside Woolly Mammoths, who currently sit in second place with a .500 record of 7-7. The Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers are 8-9 thus far, and the Unicorns are just a game behind them at 7-9. It has been a really close race thus far, and we have no idea who will take the leap, if anyone will. The talent level is widespread throughout the league, which has been fun to see with all of these close competitions. We will see the first place Hoppers and the last place Unicorns in action tonight, as both teams are down one player entering the weekend stint. No, it's not an injury or suspension. Jack Kraft of the Hoppers and Nico Lolio of the Unicorns are currently in Switzerland. They are currently a part of a job swap television show where two players from a professional Swiss league will be both Diamond Hoppers on Sunday's contest versus the Mammoths, and then Nico and Jack will spend their weekend playing in a Swiss independent league as well. As we look onto today's matchup, this will be the 9th game between these two Eastern Division rivals. So far on the season, the Hoppers own the head-to-head series 5-3. In those 8 games, the Hoppers have outscored the Unicorns 39 to just 31. Heading to the hill for today's action, we will see Jack Herzing of the Hoppers and Kyle Oligas of the Unicorns. In his short time with the Hoppers in 2018, Herzing has 2 relief stints on the season that each lasted a frame. He has allowed 1 earned run on 2 hits while walking no batters and striking out 4. As for his counterpart, Oligas, he is making his 2nd start and 4th appearance for the Unis. So far, he has a 2.70 ERA through 6 2/3 innings. He's allowed 2 earned runs on 2 hits while allowing 4 walks and tossing 4 strikeouts. To dive into this pitching matchup a little bit more, I'll now bring in my color commentary for the night, Mr. Dakota Brecht. Dakota, welcome.
Hey, Rich, great to be back here. Very excited for this game this evening. Yeah, we're going to talk about the starting pitching matchup. Jack Herzing, the lefty, 23-year-old lefty out of St. Mary's, Pennsylvania. He went to Penn State Barron and actually had a heck of a finish to his career there at Penn State. The week of April 16th, Herzing threw a no-hitter against Hilbert College, and that week he broke the strikeout record at Penn State Barron with 257 strikeouts in his career and had a 16 strikeout performance in that no-hitter. So Herzing's definitely coming to this one hot, making his first start for the USPBL tonight. And then his counterpart, Kyle Oligas, the righty, also a 23-year-old, this one out of Louisville, Kentucky. He went to Spalding University. He features a 4-seamer, 2-seam changeup, and a slider. You were mentioning earlier he's played in 3 games. His last appearance went 4 scoreless innings with only 1 hit and 2 strikeouts. So Oligas coming off of a hot game on June 15th, and face off against Herzing and see what kind of pitching matchup we got this afternoon.
Yeah, a couple of guys who did not start the season with their respective teams, but we mentioned how before last weekend we had added 16 new faces to the league throughout the 4 teams here. A couple had departed as well. Of course, Tyler Palm, a new player in the Minnesota Twins organization, the 21st player out of the USPBL to get picked up by a major league affiliate. And we're excited to see what some of this new talent can bring to the league and eventually hopefully get pushed out of here at some point. But hopefully they'll stick around for a little bit as we're excited to see what happens the rest of the way here in 2018. And Dakota, Season 1 went to the Unicorns. Season 2 went to the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. Maybe, in fact, this is Paul Nochi and the Eastside Diamond Hoppers' year. They've played really well throughout the season thus far, of course, in first place. And if they get a win here tonight, they'll be the first team to double-digit victories on the season, and we'll see what Jack Herzing can do. And then, meanwhile, for the other side, for the Utica Unicorns, they're sitting at 7-9, just a couple games back here in this Eastern Division against these Eastside Diamond Hoppers. And like for Oligas, a guy who you mentioned had a good outing in his first start of the season, but let's take a quick look real quick against the starting lineup here for the Eastside Diamond Hoppers that will face off against Mr. Oligas here today.
Yeah, for the Diamond Hoppers, and like you were mentioning earlier, they're really playing their best baseball right now, and they're the only team in this 4-team league to not make the championship game in the first 2 years. So you know they're itching to get there. You know Paul Nochi wants to win. But leading off for the Diamond Hoppers this evening is the right fielder, number 12, Patrick Adams. Batting second and playing second base, number 2, Sebastian Diaz. Batting third and playing first base, number 1, Josh McAdams. Batting fourth number 8 and playing third base, Lance Montano. Batting 5th, number 5, the left fielder, Johnny Knight IV. Batting 6th, the center fielder, number 4, Cody Rudicelli. Then batting 7th, number 7, the shortstop, Kevin Watley. Batting 8th, the first baseman, number 27, Cameron Coons. And batting 9th, number 13, Thomas Lukongo will be DHing this afternoon.
Yeah, we had a little change in the starting lineup as far as positions go for these Eastside Diamond Hoppers. Originally, Josh McAdams was our first baseman, Cameron Coons was our DH, and Thomas Lukongo was the starting catcher for these Eastside Diamond Hoppers, but a last-minute lineup change. We tried to figure out and see if there was any motive behind the change, but in fact it was just a simple change of direction for Paul Noce, no injuries or anything like that, so glad to see it was just a change because of what Paul Noce was thinking and as far as strategy goes here. So we will, in fact, see McAdams behind the dish, and for a guy who leads this league with a .410 batting average coming into play today, he also is tied with Carter Grote of the of the Utica Unicorns with 20 hits on the year. And as we got a little bit of time here, Dakota, what we've been doing as of late, me and some of the other broadcasting interns, we do a little pick the stick action between the two broadcasters. So I'll let you take your pick from any of these guys in either of these lineups, and then what I'll do, I'll pick a starting player on one of the other lineups, pending which team and which player you pick. So I'll give you the first dosage here, and you take your pick, and then I'll choose mine.
Well, the one guy I was looking at, and we talked on him earlier, was Dan Ward. Dan Ward has yet to break out. He's a big power hitter. We've been talking about, just off the air, talking about how he can't hit the breaking ball too well. But you watch this guy in batting practices, and he's hitting the ball 400 feet, no problem. He's hitting over the scoreboard out in left field. So I think one thing you got to look for him, he's a 26-year-old. He's kind of running out of options now, and he's batting at .262 with 2 home runs and 10 RBIs. It's kind of got to the point where he's got to make something happen now. So I think, against Herzing making his first start, the lefty, see if Dan Ward can run into a couple tonight. I'm going to go with Ward.
So I like the pick, and it's funny you mentioned that. We might as well get this out of the way as we are getting through these lineups. Dan Ward in the leadoff position tonight. Normally a position you would see Spencer Ibarra, the man out of Ohio University, and Fort Collins, Colorado. He had been in that position in the leadoff spot for pretty much the entire season for these Utica Unicorns, and we got word today that Ibarra, in fact, retired not only from the USPBL, but it seems as if this great game of baseball, I believe his fiance had traveled here to Utica in the last couple of weeks, and I guess Mr. Ibarra had decided to go home and get ready for family life, and we wish all the best to him, but he leaves this Unicorn team leading the team with home runs and RBIs. So it's a big loss for these Unicorns, who, of course, come into today with a 7-9 record. They definitely need some help, and we'll see if some of these new faces, guys like Chris Conley, guys like Brian Sobieski, a guy making his USPBL debut playing center field today, and Colby Mayola, and then also Austin Ladeau and Luis Diaz. A lot of new faces for these Utica Unicorns, but it looks like we're just getting finished with these starting lineups for the Utica Unicorns. They're heading out to their positions, and it looks as if we're just about ready for our national anthem. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, Rich Borland and Dakota Breck, your broadcasters for tonight's game. And when we come back from the national anthem, we will be ready for first pitch here on this 20th of June. Eastside Diamond Hoppers and Utica Unicorns getting ready for action. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel.
With
That's how you get over the hump, ladies and gentlemen. Getting ready for this 7th weekend here at the USPBL of the 2018 season. Rich Borland and Dakota Brecht here with you. It's Hoppers and Unicorns in action. We mentioned the starting lineup for the Diamond Hoppers as we were getting ready with pregame, but once more time, we'll run through it. Leading off, playing right field, number 12, Patrick Adams. Batting second, playing second, number 2, Sebastian Diaz. Batting third, behind the dish today, number 1, Josh McAdams. Leads the league with a .410 batting average. Batting in the cleanup spot today, the third baseman, number 8, Lance Montano. Batting fifth, number 5, Johnny Knight, the fourth. Batting sixth, number 4, the center fielder, Cody Rudisilli. Batting seventh, number 7, the shortstop, Kevin Watley. Batting eighth, playing at first base today, number 27, Cameron Coons. And rounding out this Eastside starting lineup, the designated hitter, number 13, Thomas Lacongo. So, Dakota, we talked a lot about the talent that we've seen from these Diamond Hoppers so far throughout the season. Part of the reason they're up in this league with the 9-6 record. And as we're getting ready for the action, we mentioned how you were going with Dan Ward as your pick-the-stick contestant.
Yeah, I'm going with the big guy.
And I will go with somebody on the Eastside Diamond Hoppers. I can't stray away from him. Josh McAdams is going to be my guy. It's an easy pick, but...
Listen, Rich, if we were going to pick the easy ones, then I would have went with McAdams. But it's all right. Go for the guy that's 20 out of his last 48 at-bats and leads the league in batting average, huh?
Hey, he was available when I had my opportunity. I'm gonna take it. But let's quickly, as we're getting ready for first pitch here, run through the defensive scheme for these Unicorns. From left to right in the outfield, it'll be number 9, Carter Grote. In center field, the newcomer making his USPBL debut out there in dead center, number 4, Colby Mayola. And then over in right field, number 7, Brian Sobieski. From left to right in the infield, over at the hot corner, number 11, Austin Ledoux. At shortstop, number 13, Adrian Guzman. At second base, number 1, Luis Diaz. And then over there at first base, your pick-the-stick contestant for the night, Mr. Brecht, is Dan Ward. And then as the battery gets ready behind the dish, Jimmy Latona. And then, of course, like we mentioned, Kyle Olagus on there out in the bump. First pitch, it's lofted out there into left center field, hit deep, but it looks like it'll stay in the park. First pitch, 7:02 p.m. It is officially 74 degrees here in Utica, Michigan. And that one goes right to Carter Grote. Patrick Adams is retired on one pitch, one up and one down.
Pat Adams was trying to put one out to start this game, huh? Big boy up there swinging. First pitch, first batter. Trying to go oppo on Olagus out on the mound, huh?
Definitely some good contact, and you wonder how that will go for Olagus on the night. It's not all that hot out. The wind, dead as of right now. The flag out there in center field, as you all can see, is not really moving all that much. In fact, it is just sitting there like the rest of us. So Diaz, meanwhile, the batter, tied for second with runs scored with 12 on the season in the league. Looks at 2 straight, and the count in his favor here, 2-0.
Yeah, Diaz up there, you know, first pitch swinging Pat Adams was as he cuts and misses on that heater down the middle. First pitch swinging Pat Adams was smart of Diaz to go up there, take the first pitch, take another one if you don't like it. You know, you're in no hurry.
So Olagus on the 2-1 effort, missing, looked to be either just low or just outside. Either way, a good eye from Diaz. Diaz batting .263 on the season. He's got 15 hits. Mentioned the 12 runs scored. Ground ball over to the right side. That would be Luis Diaz. He fields that one cleanly on the 3-1 affair, and Diaz is retired. Good job right there from Olagus to get the ground ball. Fly out to Grote, the grounder to Diaz. 2 up, 2 down. Good start here for the big fella.
Diaz to put that one away, huh? Yeah, Olagus out there, he's, you know, that one wasn't first at bat by Adams. He kind of put it right into that one, but nice, easy contact. He got him to cut on the heater in the middle of the count there. So, you know, I talked when you're outside talking to Will Marshall, Bryn Martinez, and Kyle Herrick earlier out at the media desk at Jimmy John's Field, talking to Will Marshall about how they only got 7 guys for the next 3 games.
That one's roped down the third baseline, but a really nice job from Austin Ledoux. He was ready for it, and he retires McAdams. My pick-the-stick contestant is retired in his first plate appearance, and the Hoppers go down in order here to start this top of the first inning. We head to the home half. Unicorns getting ready for their first at-bats. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Dakota Brecht here with you. Jack Herzing out there for his first start of the season. He's got 2 relief appearances under his belt as he starts Dan Ward off with a ball that misses the zone. Herzing on the season in those 2 relief appearances, a 4.50 ERA. A hard ground ball hit to the left side, but how about that?
Wow.
The big fellow, Lance Montano. We've seen what he's been able to do with the bat so far this year, but how about that slide to the left? Stops the ball. Dan Ward, not the fastest guy in this Unicorn lineup, but he's batting in that leadoff position here today. And I'll tell you what there, Dakota, looked like your pick-the-stick contestant just got a hit taken away from him.
He did. Montana there. He got down on, like you're saying, big guy. I'm surprised he got down and got up, made the play look routine. I think you got a little bit of a quicker guy. Oh, that one came up and in.
And you know what? I was wondering if it, in fact, might have gotten a piece of Chris Conley. Chris Conley up there in his first opportunity today. He doesn't even get a second to think. Is that one in and gets him on the shoulder as he turns away. Conley reaches base safely. Unicorns with their first base runner of the day. And that'll bring it up to the man who has been leading the charge here for these Unicorns, Mr. Carter Grote. There is not enough things that we can say about him as he looks at that breaking ball to begin this at-bat. But how about our beer batter of the game, another one of our sponsors here. But Carter Grote tied for the league lead with the 20 hits like we mentioned, tied with, of course, Mr. Josh McAdams. And then not only that, he leads this league with 70 at-bats. He's second with runs with 12, who's tied with Sebastian Diaz of the Hoppers. And not only that, leads the league with 6 doubles as he looks at the breaking ball again there. He's looked at 3 straight. None of them, or excuse me, 2 of them have missed the zone. The middle one in between struck. Grote ready for the 2-1.
And he wasn't too sure about that one that actually caught part of the plate.
So that one inside gets away from McAdams. And because of it, Chris Conley will make it to second base. And you know, that was probably right on the borderline of wild pitch and pass ball, but, I mean, it did, in fact, get a little bit of the leather there of McAdams, but it was pretty close to Grote's body, so could probably have went either way, but nonetheless, a mistake is made here from the Hoppers. Grote ready for the 3-1, and the 74-mile-an-hour breaking ball in there as Grote swings and fouls it off, rolls it over to our left, right behind Jim Essien, manager of these Utica Unicorns, and tell you what, there is that base open over there at first where you can try and think about maybe getting Jimmy Latona to ground out into 2, but you've worked hard against Grote here. You want to get him retired. You see Herzing nodding his head yes. He gets his sign from McAdams. The payoff pitch, there's another curveball. This one hits softly down the third baseline. Lukongo trying to go to first with it, but too much speed there for Carter Grote. He hits that one softly down the third baseline, and because of it, reaches base safely. The infield single is recorded, and the Unicorns with a couple of base runners on here with just 1 out to go.
Yeah, Grote with the legs down there. You kind of saw the same thing with Ward earlier where Montana there grabbed that ball and made a nice play on Ward, but this one it just hit too softly, and Grote got down the line. Got in there safe. Now we got Latona up, and you were talking about potentially walking Grote there with how hot he's been, but Latona's got a bat on him. You know, he's got 9 RBIs so far this year, and he can swing a hot bat. So
is that one near Latona's head as well. Gets out of the way of that one. Latona doing the catching here today. If he's not catching, he's, of course, in the DH spot. Man out of Rochester, New York, and Mercyhurst University, playing in his 15th game here with these Unicorns. 11 hits and 47 at-bats, 8 runs scored, 3 doubles to his credit. And we're seeing a lot of these breaking balls here from Jack Herzing that simply just are not hitting the zone, and that's his second hit by pitch in just 3 batters.
Not a good start there for Herzing. And, you know, it's not like he's intentionally trying to do any of this. He's just missing his locations with these benders. And you saw the one get away from McAdams last at-bat, and now he's hit 2 out of the past 3. So, I don't know if you want to come talk to him. Talk to him if you're no cheer or not, but let the kid fight through, all right?
Yeah, it's a big spot, of course, but the beauty of the game, there's no clock on that scoreboard. Herzing, if he pitches right here to Brian Sobieski, he can possibly get 2 for the price of 1. Sobieski, the right fielder, here for these Utica Unicorns. Sobieski with just the 3 hits in his time thus far with these Utica Unicorns. Looks at the fastball that misses outside. Count evens up at 1-1.
Sobieski's, you can tell he's got a good eye so far. Only 16 at-bats with the Unicorns. He's already got 5 walks. So he's really seen the ball well to start. Only 3 hits. He's got 2 RBIs, though. And I think he'll be all right. He's got a good eye up there.
There's that breaking ball in there again. Looks like Herzing's throwing his breaking ball more than any other pitch thus far, and you got to imagine that's probably the approach he's going to take against the top of this lineup against these Unicorns. It hasn't boded well for him all that well thus far, but Sobieski in there, ready for the 2-1. Fastball in there, just 87 miles an hour. Fouled off the bat and right into the mitt of McAdams, and the count even here at 2-2, and what a big pitch coming up for Herzing.
Yeah, you see that 87-mile-per-hour fastball completely just blew right past Sobieski, but when you see all the breaking balls, there's a balk called there on Herzing.
Wow, you don't see that every day. Actually saw it in the College World Series 2 days ago, but that is just a tough break. Herzing and now Paul Nochi, the manager of these Eastside Diamond Hoppers, going out there to have a conversation with our field umpire and kind of figure out exactly.
That's a tough call with the bases loaded.
What happened there, because, of course, with that balk, all runners moving up 90 feet. And, of course, coming in to score there would be Chris Conley. And it all goes back to hitting 2 of those 3 base runners. In comes the first man that was hit by the pitch, and Grote moving to third. Latona moving to second. Sobieski still ready here for this even 2-2 count, but a tough break right there for the left-hander who is clearly struggling here in his first start.
Yeah, I don't know what Nochi was really complaining about there. I didn't see it personally because I wasn't watching Herzing when he was stepping. I mean, you don't expect in pro ball to.
And as you say that, Herzing gets Sobieski with the breaking ball. First strikeout that we've seen all day, and that is good enough for out number 2. And a good opportunity here for Herzing to get out of this first inning jam.
Yeah, it was a nice bender there by Herzing to get out of that, strike out Sobieski, but still confused on what happened with the whole block. Once you get up to this level, you're playing professional baseball. You should not be balking. I was mentioning to you earlier, I ump, Little League, and you should have seen the amount of times you have to call a balk when you get to 12, 14U baseball. Well, that's because these kids are just learning. I mean, Herzing's played, he played 4 years of college ball at Penn State Barron. He shouldn't be balking in a situation, especially with the bases loaded. Yeah,
sometimes the game can just get away from you, as that one gets away from Colby Mayola. Mayola, making his USPBL debut. Standing in from the left side here, swings and misses at the 1-0 effort. Colby Mayola coming to us from UMass Lowell and North Reading, Massachusetts. 195-pounder, 6'3", looks at ball 2. He's quickly earned himself a good hitter's count. There's that base open at first, but Herzing trying to get any out that he can get.
Yeah, you got almost a completely new look for these Unicorns. You take this back 2 weeks ago to now. You got Ledoux in there, Mayola, Chris Conley's a new guy. No Sprague, no Spencer Ibarra, so it's kind of a lot of turnover here for these Unicorns, but good start so far against Herzing.
Is that breaking ball missing the zone? First plate appearance for Mayola. He reaches base safely via the base on balls. And to go back to that point there, Dakota, when I was an intern back in year 1 in 2016, through the first 4, 5, 6 weekends, that's when you really start to see turn of the tide, and you get a group of guys that weren't performing through the first couple of weekends get sent home, and then with the college season ending, of course, except for 8 teams in the College World Series thus far, players starting to transition into their summer ball, and then, of course, the ones that are no longer in college having to find a way to keep continuing the great game of baseball, and if they weren't drafted, of course, they try and find their way up through these independent leagues, and here at the USPBL, that's exactly what we're trying to do, get these guys to the next level as Austin Ledoux looks at ball 1 to begin this at-bat, and you really wonder how long Herzing's going to last here if the troubles continue.
Yeah, first start of the year, and, we were talking about his career at Penn State Barron, as this might get him out of the inning, huh?
Ground ball to the left side. Lukongo trying to make another one of those really good plays, and he can give a pat on the back to his first baseman, Cameron Coons, for that one as he scoops that one out of the dirt. And the Unicorns end up getting just the one run after that giant threat. But we're through one inning of play here at Jimmy John's Field. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Dakota Brecht here with you. Utica Unicorns get a run in the home half of the first inning, but they leave the bases loaded courtesy of this man right here, Mr. Lance Montano. He hit a hard ground ball pretty much in the exact direction as where that one just went. And look at that. This one overthrown to the first baseman. That one will go down in the books as an E5. You saw Austin Ladeau over there at the hot corner. Wasn't an easy ground ball to field, but Montano, not with the greatest of speed down that first baseline, ends up getting into scoring position. Not sure if that ball had gotten out of the field of play or if they had called interference on Dan Ward. Did you happen to see that one get out of play?
I think what they ruled it over on the right-hand side there is by the time the catcher got to the ball, it was in the little crook where the dugout steps are. So I think they ruled that as being out of play, and that's where they gave Montano his extra base.
So Montano gets into scoring position about as easy as you can get. He now gives way to Johnny Knight IV, who stands in now, batting .245 on the season.
Yeah, that was a weird play there. Latona wasn't really expecting to get down in a backup Ward there, but the throw just sailed off the hands of Ladeau over at third base, and Latona had to get on his horse to get over and grab it. But Montano was kind of shook up when he ran into Ward, and, I mean, look at Ward down there. He's a big guy. Anytime you run into that, it's like running into a brick wall over at first base. So
yeah, I'm shocked we didn't break the sound barrier with those two colliding. But meanwhile, Johnny Knight IV looked at a couple different pitches here in this at-bat. He's worked the count 2-1 in his favor. 2 stolen bases on the season, and he'll get an opportunity to try that out as he gets drilled. We've seen 3 batters hit by pitches in just the inning and a half, like you mentioned there, Dakota, and a little bit of command issues here for both of these starters to start this one, but a 1-2-3 inning for Alagus back in the first, but an error combined with the hit by pitch have gotten the first 2 hoppers on to begin this second inning.
Yeah, I think there's one thing that I know Justin Orndorff and the rest of the, baseball ops over here going to try to work with is we were seeing a lot of walks so far through the beginning of the USPBL in this third season. A lot of walks, a lot of hit by pitches, and that's just things that you got to clean up or else you're not going to go anywhere.
This one's popped up in the shallow infield. Looks like it's good enough to be an infield fly. In the end, it'll get caught by the second baseman, Luis Diaz, but it is marked. The infield fly right there is first out is recorded, and it's a big one right there for Kyle Alagus. And Rudisili is retired. That'll bring up the shortstop, Kevin Watley.
Yeah, back on the point I was talking about before, Rudicelli popped out to the second baseman. It's just one thing that they're going to have to work on, and I know it's an issue wherever you go until you kind of get up towards AAA and to the majors. But control is a major part of the game that you gotta master before you can go anywhere.
And it's unbelievable how much preparation leads into just where that baseball can be found when it comes out of that hand of these pitchers. And with what Justin Orenduff and the entire staff here at the USPBL, as you see that pitch just missing the zone on the outer half. Watley works the zone, or works the count, I guess, and the zone here, 2-0. But with what Justin Orenduff, our director of baseball operations here at the USPBL, combined with the delivery value system, has been able to do has been, second to none, as we've seen so many players who, some of them were on the verge of ending their baseball careers, and then they hear about the USPBL, give themselves another second chance, and some of those guys have been able to move on to bigger and better things, and it's really a great story for what they've been able to accomplish here in these 2+ seasons.
Well, take Diamond Hoppers pitcher Devin Alexander for a prime example here. He came in, he was not a starter. He wasn't even a pitcher. Before he came to this league, he was an outfielder, a little two-way player.
As this one's hit shallow in that infield again, so back-to-back infield flies retire both Rudicelli and Watley. But, yeah, back to what you were saying.
Yeah, Devin Alexander, in just a short amount of time, I don't have the article in front of me right now, but I believe it was within like a month or two, he had gained 3 miles per hour on his average fastball. So just in that short amount of time, he went from throwing 87 miles an hour to 90 miles per hour. And that's through the DVS system. That's one thing that they've done successfully so far, and it's a real attractive thing that these guys out here looking to play independent pro ball somewhere, they see something like that and go, wow, maybe I have an extra 3 miles per hour in myself too. So that's why it's going to draw them to the USPBL a little more, and you're really getting the cream of the crop when it comes to independent pro ball talent when you got a system like the DVS system in place.
Coons, meanwhile, the batter now. He's quickly gotten down in this count 0-2 as he fouls off the 0-1 effort. And Coons on the season, he's rotated between first base, DH, and he's in the first base slot here tonight. Was originally slated as the DH. Hits a hard ground ball, rolls it over to Ledoux at first. And what a job there by Dan Ward at the first base bag. Ledoux had thrown the ball a little off center. Ward falls off the bag. He does his job to get the ball first, realized that he had enough time to get back to the bag and retire Cameron Coons. And call an error, a hit by pitch, a couple of infield flies lead to the 5-3 putout. Hoppers trail this one by a score of 1-0 as we're halfway through 2. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland, Dakota Brecht here with you. Out for his second inning of work. It'll be Mr. Jack Herzing out there on the hill, the left-hander, for these Diamond Hoppers, and leading the way for these Utica Unicorns to begin this home half of the second inning. It'll be number 1, Luis Diaz, and then number 13, Adrian Guzman, the shortstop, and then back to the top of the order in Dan Ward. Luis Diaz has not been around this league for all that long on the season. Luis Diaz with these Utica Unicorns playing in his 4th game on the season thus far. He's got 9 at-bats, just the 1 hit. 2 runs scored, though, as he's walked twice and struck out 3 times. The man out of Miami, Florida, trying to get the job done and get the Unicorns going here to start this home half of the second. If you're just joining us, the Unicorns with 1 run in the home half of the first, but they left the bases loaded when Austin Ledoux had grounded out into a 5-3 putout. A good job by Lance Montano to end the threat. And Luis Diaz, meanwhile, ending this at-bat. What a bender in there from Jack Herzing. And Herzing, who had the 1 strikeout in the first, but had battled against 7 batters, probably 1 too many that you would want to face through your first frame starting on the mound. But Diaz is retired via the backdoor K, and he is up and out for number 1.
Well, we're talking about, Herzing in his college days and how he had that no-hitter where he struck out 16 out of the 21 outs, which is actually insanely impressive. I think where he was getting most of those strikeouts was on that curveball right there, the slurve, he calls it. He's got such great movement on it, and it's sometimes too much movement. He's hit 2 out of 3 batters in a row in that first inning there. But, he's got to settle down here, bounce back. That one almost caught the outside part of the plate. Real good movement on that slurve. And on that last at-bat, I think I rung up Diaz back in the booth here before home plate umpire even got a chance. You could see it right out of the hand. Great movement on that pitch. Definitely looking to bounce back here.
There's that breaking ball once again. Guzman does a better job this time around to hold off on the pitch. That one in the dirt. Good stop there from Josh McAdams. Guzman, meanwhile, on the season here with these Utica Unicorns, playing in his 17th game. So he has been a part of every single game here for Utica to start the season, as he almost gets drilled with that one. He escapes out of the way, and the count has gone to 3-1 here quickly. But Guzman with 9 hits in those 16 games, 9 runs scored, does have 1 home run with 4 RBIs. Hits a hard ground ball to the left side of the infield, where Kevin Watley will toss it to Cameron Coons for out number 2, and the out is recorded. 2 up and 2 down as we head back to the top of the order here for the Unicorns.
And here comes my pick to stick, Dan Ward. And, he had a hit stolen away from him by Montana down there at third. Let's see what he can do with this play. I mean, it was nice solid contact last time up. So.
And the thing with Ward, we can tell, of course, how powerful he is with the 2 home runs that he's hit on the season thus far, and just kind of how the ball travels off of his bat as that breaking ball misses the zone.
Always solid contact off the bat of Ward.
Yeah, in this at-bat here against a guy who's predominantly throwing off-speed stuff, you got to imagine that Ward will get a lot of those. The 1-0 effort in the dirt once again there at 76 miles an hour, and you wonder if Herzing is maybe going to try and let Ward slide on by, and maybe they'll go after Chris Conley, who was hit by a pitch but did come in to score the only run of the game, as that fastball, the 2-seamer, it looked like, missing high and inside. So Ward has worked the count 3-0. Any shot of a green light here?
You're up by 1 to start, and he was swinging 3-0.
Look at that.
I was thinking if you're throwing a heater there, you might want to give him the green light and go for it. But I don't know. That one looked a little high, too. It might have even been out of the zone. If I'm Herzing here, I'm going to let him slide by and go after Conley, who's a new guy to the league. You hit him your first time up. But I would go after Conley here. I wouldn't give Ward anything good to hit.
Ward getting called to strike on the 3-1. Looked like it might have been just missing on that high and outside corner, but home plate umpire had other thoughts, and because of it, Ward's at-bat will continue. Could affect the rest of the night here for.
It could get a little flustered,
Mr.
and
Dakota.
Mr. McAdams.
I meant for you.
Well, for me, missed that one.
There you go. So Ward reaches first base safely on the 2-out walk. He eventually gets what he deserves, and he reaches the base, and that'll bring up, like we mentioned, the DH for tonight, Chris Conley.
Yeah, I mean, nothing against Conley here. He's just one of those newer guys to the league, and it's a lefty-on-lefty matchup, too. So why would you throw anything good to Ward, who you know can let one loose and hit a ball a real long ways? So I'd go after Conley here. I don't see anything wrong with it. Conley's 2 for 3 in his plate appearances, and he got hit by a pitch his last time up. But see what he can do against the lefty Herzing.
Conley on this season in just the one game with those 2 hits. Had a run scored. I'll tell you what, not sure if you know this or not, Dakota, but his 2 hits, both doubles, and a 1 walk to his credit as well. So quite a start for the man out of Derby, New York, and he hits a hard foul ball. This one going right off that ankle and out to second base where Sebastian Diaz covers, but that one looked like it hurt a little bit off of Conley's shin, and nice job there by the home plate umpire to give him a second. And
that's just respect right there by home plate umpire, and those ones never feel good. I think that one came a little more off of his foot too, and once you get those on the top of the feet there, not fun at all.
No, it's not. And not only do you got to keep continuing the battle here, but you're thinking about that foot as much as you're not trying to, as it will continue to just burn for the rest of this at bat. And still 2 outs. The runner on first is Dan Ward. No stolen bases to his credit on the season, so you got to go after Conley here, keep the ball low. Don't let him get a hold of anything. As this one comes in, there's another breaking ball, and you can just tell there's 2 different breaking balls that we're seeing out of the hand of Herzing here. The ones that have the really good controlled movement on it, and then those ones that just get left up and out of the zone. If I'm a batter here, I'm going to try my best to make these adjustments the second time through the lineup, and there's another one of those breaking balls that just got away from Herzing. He just could not complete the process and follow through and get the ball down.
And that's going to be a key factor in the development of Herzing here. You know, he's new to the league, and that's one thing that I'm sure Justin Orndorff and the guys with the DVS program are just licking their chops at, is seeing when he has that solid control.
As this one's, it looked like it might have been a broken bat, and Kevin Watley was trying to get a hold of it on the hop, but instead it'll go down in the books as a base knock. Conley gets his first hit of the night, reaches base safely for the second time. Dan Ward gets into scoring position, and the inning will continue here for the Corns in this home half of the second.
Yeah, one of the hottest guys in the league right now, Carter Grote, stepping to the plate. So looking to tack on a couple more in the early innings. But back onto the point I was talking about Herzing is, that's one thing that they're going to look at is how can we get that command on all of his breaking balls, not just 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4. You know, that it's just one thing that they're going to work on is definitely that breaking ball, because it's something special, and when he's got good command of it, these batters better watch out.
Yeah, it looks as if that has been Herzing's bread and butter until he's been able to get to the USPBL. So he'll continue to go after guys with that breaking stuff, and only a matter of time before somebody might get a hold of it. Right on cue, line drive down to left, one hopping off of that wall, but it'll go about 6 to 7 feet foul. Grote with a good swing on it, simply just a tad early.
Yeah, he really got to drive into that one, and just too early on it. It was another breaking ball out of the hand of Herzing. And for a second, I thought it was going to get down fair. And with left field being so close, just 315 out there, you know, it's not too hard to poke one out to left. I thought Grote might have had a shot.
So Grote standing in here with the count at 1-1. Mentioned how Grote has done tremendous for these Unicorns as he fouls off the 1-1 effort. Tied for the league lead with the 20 hits coming into play today. He now, in fact, leads the league with 21 hits as Josh McAdams is 0 for 1 on the day. So the league leader in hits, league leader with at-bats, second in runs with 12. And not only that, he leads this league with doubles. I bet you the Unicorns and him would love to see another one of those come off the bat as he fights off that 1-2 pitch high and inside, but looked as if Grote, the aggressive hitter that he is, was swinging before that pitch was delivered, and sort of in that 2-strike approach, you kind of have to be ready for anything, and even though that one was high and inside, he gets the piece of wood on it, fouls it off out of play, and even though it wasn't the pitch that he wanted, he ends up getting another opportunity here solely because he fouled that one off. Herzing, the 1-2 again, this one in the dirt as it'll get away from McAdams, but he throws it to first base, and it is actually offline there. Coons cannot hold on to it, and that strikeout will end up going in the books as an error. Not sure if it'll go against McAdams for the errant throw or if it'll go to Coons, who couldn't hold on to it. as either way, that one will come back to haunt these Hoppers as the Unicorns have the bases loaded there. And it's tough because you get Grote on the strikeout. You just can't get the out completed. And now the bases are loaded here with 2 outs.
That's a prime example of why you always run everything out. I mean, you take any level from T-ball till the majors. I always run it out because you're going to see stuff like that happen. And if you're McAdams, you can't make that mistake there. I mean, it's a simple throw. He was already a quarter of the way up the line. You got to have that throw on the line there. And if you're Coons, you got to grab that ball too. If they could give an error to both guys on this one, I think they would. I think that was well-deserved for both of them. But definitely going to go to McAdams there on the throw. Coons had to leave the bag at first. Let's see what Latona can do with the bases juiced here.
Yeah, Latona on the night. He got hit by the second pitch that he saw. Bases juiced here with Ward on third, Conley at second, Grote on first. Latona down in the count here 0-1 as he swings and misses at the first opportunity. But just like the first frame, the Unicorns could possibly end the second with the bases loaded. Latona looks at that breaking ball as it falls into the zone for a strike, and Herzing with his second opportunity in as many innings to leave him loaded. But talk about pressure here in your first official start, third overall appearance. There's that breaking ball in there again, 3 straight here to Latona, and he looks off and holds off against that one. But you can tell he was getting ready to swing at it, and then it's only a matter of time before he bites once more. If I'm Herzing, I'd try and throw that once more a little bit lower.
Well, and then for the part of the Unicorns here is that Herzing really hasn't hit the strike zone with many of those breaking balls, so it's kind of easy to lay off on him, and that's what they've been doing.
This one hit to the left side. Nice job there by Lance Montano, who's been manning that hot corner all day long for these Eastside Diamond Hoppers, and the Unicorns end up leaving them loaded here in this home half of the second inning. We head to the third. They remain out in front. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland, Dakota Brecht here with you. We're through 2 frames here at Jimmy John's Field on ladies' night as Thomas Lacongo starts off his first at-bat of the, second at-bat of the night. Let's try that one more time. First at-bat of the night for Lacongo, and he reaches base safely. You saw the effort out there from the center fielder, Colby Mayola. A good effort. He lined out as best he could, but Lacongo in his first plate appearance reaches base safely with the leadoff single. Hoppers with an opportunity to get a run in here as they need it, chasing one down here in this top of the third.
Rich, I was looking at SportsCenter Top 10 in the morning. Mayola almost had that one. Just came up short. You know, that's the tough play. Coming forward, when you're diving, you're running forward, coming forward, and diving forward is one of the toughest plays in baseball. It's a lot easier when you're going off to the sides. but to come forward and dive up on a ball like that, it's insanely hard.
That one's fouled off and out of play as we go back to the top of this east side order. Patrick Adams standing in for the second time tonight. Fouls off the second pitch he sees. Count evens up at 1-1. Adams on the night 0 for 1 with that fly ball to Carter Grote that had reached the warning track. So we saw some warning track power from Adams to begin the night, but he looks at a fastball in, called strike, down 1-2.
You know, I talked to Will Marshall before the game, and he said Allegas only had about 3 innings in him, and you see some movement down in the Unicorns bullpen down there. I don't see much stirring in the Diamond. Yeah, I see one guy up for the Diamond Hoppers. I think it's going to be a short night for both guys.
Ground ball to the right side. Allegas ends up going to first base with it, and he might have tried to go to second to get the lead runner, but he immediately went to go to first, and because of it, reaching on that infield single is Patrick Adams. Busts his tail down the line and ends up reaching base safely. So back-to-back singles here for these Hoppers. Have 2 men on with nobody out, and Sebastian Diaz, who's tied for second with runs scored with 12, stands in.
Yeah, that was one of those weird plays where Allegas kind of got caught up on that high chopper. And, I mean, you could have tried to go to second, get the lead runner, but he felt that he was already going towards the direction of first base. And the first baseman, Ward, came up to make the play himself, but Allegas got there before him. And it's just a tough play. I thought he had him by a half a step, but I guess we got a little bit of a farther view up here than the field ump.
So Diaz standing in there, looks at a called strike to begin this plate appearance. Fastball in. 0 for 1 on the night. He grounded out to the second baseman, Luis Diaz. And boy, could the Unicorns use a ground ball right here. Force at any bag. Diaz, the man out of Southwest Ranches, Florida, trying to give the Hoppers their first run of the game. This 1-1 pitch, 71 mile an hour. I believe that was a changeup or a slider that didn't break.
Yeah, I think that was a slider there out of the hand of Allegas. It had the early movement to it, but then never broke at the end. Almost nabbed Diaz there on the shoulder.
So Diaz ahead in the count 2-1. Fastball in there at 87. Fouled off and into the protective netting behind home plate. Fun fact about the area behind home plate, just 37 feet from our diamond tables down underneath the grandstands to home plate. Can't get any closer in all of professional baseball. It's, of course, 60 foot 6 inches from pitcher's mound to home plate, and it's even closer for these fans. As this ball's hit over to the hot corner, can they do it? They go from 3 to 1. I was wondering if maybe Austin Ledoux would be able to try and get a magical 5-4-3 triple play, but in the end, too much speed there from Adams getting into second as Lukongo is retired at third for the first out, and then Diaz, the latter part of the double play, and 2 men are retired. Adams remains out there at second base as Mick Adams stands in here now.
Yeah, I think you got anyone else running down to second there, you might have a shot, but Pat Adams has some serious speed. By the time Ledoux got to that ball, tagged the bag, there was no chance for the triple play.
And that's a good awareness there by Ledoux to realize that if you anticipate a ground ball coming right to you, of course, first thing, tag third base, but he realized probably that Adams had too much speed over at the first base bag, and he immediately, no hesitation, didn't even look towards second base. He goes to first with it to retire Sebastian Diaz. A really good job right there by the guy who made an error in the first inning with that overthrow.
Yeah, and it's all about knowing your situation, know who's on base, and that's when the scouting comes into play, and really paying attention to these guys when they're warming up and when what they're doing. And a great job again by Ledoux to know that he probably wasn't going to get Adams at second, so no hesitation, took the out of third and launched it over to first, double play. Now you got 2 outs, runner on second, and see if Allegas can get out of it for the Unis.
Still a long ways to go as the league leader with the batting average at .410, Josh McAdams, still up there. That one just missing either low or outside, but McAdams with a really good eye up there at the plate. Part of the reason his average is at the tops in the league. Man who's got experience in professional baseball, both the Arizona Fall League with the Indians and then in the Penn League on the East Coast. He ends up reaching base safely for the first time today, and both of our pick the stick contestants there, Mr. Brecht. First at bat, ground out to third base. second at bat,
Walk.
base on balls. So we literally could not get any more even throughout our first 2 at bats. And McAdams over there on first base now as he fills up the open bag. It'll bring up Lance Montano, the man who's done really well defensively. And we had mentioned earlier on in this inning how that error from Austin Ledoux had costed the Unicorns back in that second frame, but a couple of pop-outs and then a ground out by Ledoux got out of that inning. This one, though, lifted high into center field. Colby Mayola ranging back and making the catch for the third and final out. Hoppers strand 2 more base runners in the top half of the third. We head to the home half. Unicorns out in front 1-0. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Dakota Brecht here with you. We're through 2.5 innings of play. Eastside Diamond Hoppers trailing the Utica Unicorns by a score of 1-0. Unicorns getting their run back in the first inning, but they have left the bases loaded through the first 2 frames. And the man on the mound, Mr. Jack Herzing, with 52 pitches through the first 2 frames. Not only that, half of them for balls, half of them for strikes down the middle, split at 26. Ryan Sobieski, meanwhile, standing in for his second plate appearance on the night. Looks at the second straight ball. He's worked the count here 2-0, but 0 for 1 on the night. He's got 1 of the 2 strikeouts for these Utica Unicorns, so trying to at least put the ball in play is Sobieski, the man out of St. Charles, Illinois, and you see him think about it on the 2-0, but hold off. That one called strike by our home plate umpire. Might have been a little lower outside, but gets enough of the zone for Herzing.
You got to help the man out right now. He's at 29 balls and 27 strikes. Whenever you got more balls than strikes, and you've only allowed 1 run, which is kind of shocking for Herzing. You know, the command's just definitely not there tonight. Way too many breaking balls. He can't get control of it. I know that's his pitch right there, is the slurve curve as it is, but way too many breaking balls when you're missing with that poor command.
3-1 pitch, meanwhile, rolled over, almost got a piece of the bat boy for the Corns, but a good job here by Herzing to battle back in this count. And if you can retire Sobieski to lead off this inning, unfortunately, that has not boded well for Herzing. He retired the leadoff man in Dan Ward in the first inning, retired the leadoff man Luis Diaz in the second inning, but like we mentioned, a lot of batters through these first 2 frames. This one getting away from McAdams, and it'll eventually get a piece of Sobieski getting down that line. So he strikes out, but he reaches the bag safely as it gets past Josh McAdams.
That's the second time in the past 3 batters that McAdams has lost the ball on a strike 3, and the runners made it down to down to first save.
So Sobieski gets to first in probably the most unconventional way you can reach. Now we'll see if Colby Mayola can do anything with it. He reached on a base on balls in his first plate appearance of his USPBL career. Colby swinging hard at that first pitch of the at-bat here.
Colby's not trying to walk again. He's trying to show the fans why he's here.
Mayola coming to us from UMass Lowell as he chases after the second pitch. And tell you what, if I'm Herzing here, you see 2 fastballs a little high, both of them getting chased after by Mayola. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm coming back with one more.
Yeah, I don't think Mayola's going to catch up to this again, but now he'll throw a curveball here. Oh, he went back with a heater. I was surprised. Mayola's been Herzing's been living with that curveball today.
And that's where you have to stray away from the norm. You got a guy down 0-2 on 2 straight fastballs. Everybody and their brother, except for me apparently, was expecting a curveball. And look at that. Speaking of expecting the curveball, Colby Mayola sits on one at 76 miles an hour. Moving up to third base is Brian Sobieski, and that is the first base knock of the professional career for Colby Mayola. Toss that baseball back in and let that man keep his souvenir. But runners now on the corners here with nobody out, and it's only a matter of time before Herzing is taken out of this one. As I'll tell you what, though, there's no moving action in that right field bullpen for the Hoppers, but I do see 2 green jerseys sitting at the foot of it. It looks as if whoever was in fact getting loose down there is ready here and now. So we'll see how much longer Paul Noce will allow this leash to get dragged here by Herzing. As you see McAdams getting a call from the first base dugout, relaying it to his infielders, of course, for a third first play. If the runner on first, Mayola, in fact, tries to go, McAdams will eventually toss it somewhere. Not sure exactly where it will be, but you see Herzing keeping tabs on Mayola, even though that was his first base knock of his career. Second time he's reached the bag safely, so no stolen bases to his credit thus far.
Yeah, he looks like he's got a little bit of speed to him. He plays center field. This one's driven.
Out to center field, left center field to be certain. Rounding first, rounding second, heading to third is that man Mayola, and the slide into Montano ends up creating a little bit of an issue as you see Montano in a little bit of pain. Getting to second base is Ledoux. Getting to third is Mayola.
That was a great piece of base running there by Ledoux. Gets to first on the single there. Throw comes into third, trying to get Mayola there at third. And the ball just trickles away from Montano. And Ledoux was right on it. Jumped right out to second base. Got in there with no problem at all. Now you got runners on second and third after you just played another one. Still no outs. You're doing all right if you're the Unis here.
So the Unicorns taking this 2-0 lead. Conversation being had out on the hill. Assistant coach, Mr. Forrest Kumis, former Birmingham Bloomfield Beaver position player, out there with his team. Little vote of confidence for a guy who is struggling out there on the hill, and you wonder if maybe this will be the last batter here for Herzing.
Yeah, you're at the bottom of the lineup here. I think he'll give him Diaz and maybe Guzman, but he's not letting him turn the lineup back over again.
Still just no outs here in this home half of the third inning. Ledoux doing his job by driving in the run. Over at third is Colby Mayola. Still no outs here on the board. Luis Diaz 0 for 1 on the night with a looking strikeout. That was the first out of the second inning. Looking at this pitch here on the 0-1. Another called strike right there on the outer half of the plate. And I'll tell you what, Herzing's having a lot of these good moments where he's throwing the right pitch in the right count, just not being able to finish the job against some of these hitters. The strikeout that started this entire inning that could not retire Sobieski because of the miscue from McAdams ends up turning the page into another run here for these Unicorns. Of course, no runs in this inning will be earned as that one gets away from Diaz. He goes down via the swing and the miss. Second strikeout of the day for him. And that's a big out right there for Herzing as he desperately needed to get the out. And not only that, but get the out without allowing the runners to move in and come in to score.
Yeah, no, that's huge for him. He's got to get this out here, and I think he's still coming out. I don't think Paul Nochi's going to let him face Ward in that top of the lineup. But get this last out here, turn the ball over to the bullpen, and get out of this inning with only 2 runs. Only 1 run, excuse me, 2-0.
So the count starting off against Guzman. There's that breaking ball that we've seen time and time again here from the left-hander Herzing. Missing the zone, not dropping in early enough. Guzman works the count ahead in his favor here, 1-0. 0 for 1 on the day is Guzman. Grounded out to shortstop in his first plate appearance, and a really nice patient approach right there from Lance Montano at the hot corner. We've been pretty impressed with what the big fella's had to offer defensively thus far, and he could have charged that ball, tried to make a play on it, but he allows it to travel because, tell you what, it would have been tough to retire Guzman on that slow chopping ground ball. A nice heads-up play there from the man at the hot corner to not allow the runners to move up because Ward was going to score. Over at second is Ledoux. He wouldn't have probably been going anywhere, but Guzman would have definitely reached base safely as that foul ball brings the count to 1-1. Herzing with the 74-mile-an-hour pitch. Looked to be that curve ball. It just simply didn't curve.
That's what he's been doing all evening. He's been missing with that, and I don't know what exact pitch count is at right now, but I still believe he's probably in the negatives when it comes to balls and strikes. He's got to be up close, close 75 pitches now, and with only 2 1/3 innings work, that's not good at all.
To be exact, Mr. Brecht, that pitch right there was pitch number 71 out of the hand of Herzing here just in this 3rd inning with 1 out, but to come to your surprise, 33 of the 71 pitches for balls, 38 of them for strikes, but still far too close for those pitches to be concerned as Guzman looks at the 2-2 pitch, has worked the count full, and now with that open bag at first, it wouldn't be the worst thing to put Guzman on, but we would be heading back to the top of the order, and your pick-the-stick contestant, Mr. Dan Ward, with 2 home runs on the season. You definitely want to try and retire Guzman if you can here, and maybe we'll see a double play get called as we see the center fielder doing his job, and I'll tell you what, Dakota, that's a really nice job from Cody Rudisilli out there in center field.
He took charge out there.
The runner on third, Dan Ward, was thinking about possibly tagging with Sebastian Diaz backpedaling out there in the outfield grass. You saw from the start that Diaz was calling off his outfielders, and we've seen a lot of that actually throughout this 2018 USPBL season where some of these middle infielders have taken a lot of charge in some of these shallow fly balls, but a really good job from the center fielder to call off his second baseman to come underneath it, make the catch, and not only that, but to keep Dan Ward over there at the third base bag. All around good job there from Cody Rudisilli to retire Guzman, an even better job to not allow any runs to come in just yet.
Well, and you always think of in the game of baseball, your shortstop and your center fielders are the 2 leaders out on the defensive part of things. This one looks like it might get out of play unless Coons can get there. No, it's going to go foul. The shortstop and the center fielder always take charge. Any fly balls, any pop-ups in the infield, whatever it is, if the center fielder can get to a fly ball, and you saw the second baseman, I believe that is Diaz, running out there, he could have made that catch no problem, but he would have been running backwards, been off balance a little bit. And again, that's the center fielder's job, and Rudicelli did a fantastic job of taking control out there.
So the count, 0-2 against Dan Ward. Ward looks at the 0-2 offer. That one missing outside. Over on third is Mayola. Second is Ledoux. 2 outs here on this board. Unicorns out in front 2-0, but if Dan Ward has anything to say about it, he will try and widen this lead. The ball in on the hands. It's popped back up the middle, and good job there from Kevin Watley to corral underneath it and catch it for out number 3. Ward is retired for the second time today, and we will head to the 4th inning here at Jimmy John's Field. Unicorns out in front 2-0 on this Wednesday night here from Utica, Michigan. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Dakota Brecht here with you. We're through 3 innings of play. Utica Unicorns out in front by a score of 2-0 as we head to this 4th frame. Kyle Olagus' day is done. He goes 3 innings, doesn't allow any runs, 2 hits, 1 walk, no strikeouts against the 13 batters that he had faced. And it was a pretty good overall outing for him. We knew he wasn't going to go more than 3 or 4 innings. He does allow the 1 hit in that 3rd to Patrick Adams, but he now gives way to a man with a small stature but a big heart, Mr. Will Marshall.
Yeah, speaking of Will Marshall, the guy is just 5'4", 155 pounds, and Rich had the chance to interview him before the game. He's a native of Dallas, Texas, went to the University of Dallas, and just talking to Will, you know, while I was waiting, well, he had a couple other guys up to the booth here. This one looks like it's going to be popped out to the shortstop. And Marshall's all about the game. He loves playing the game, and it's a little different for him up here. You know, this is a 70-degree day, and it's a little chilly for him, he was saying out there. He's used to the 110-degree heat down in Dallas, Texas. Said it was a weird transition to come up to Michigan to play, but just loves playing the game. And you know, like you're saying, small stature, big heart, that's all that Will Marshall's about, and he's just here to play and improve his talent to these guys here at USPBL.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he's had one bad outing, which came back on, as we take a look at his stat line, back on June the 12th, just 8 days ago, against these same Eastside Diamond Hoppers. He went 2 innings, allowed 5 earned runs on 6 hits, had 1 walk and 2 strikeouts against the 13 guys that he faced. But before that, he had only allowed 4 earned runs in 8 of his relief appearances, and he had been really, you know, it's the word I'm looking for, persistent out there on the hill and kind of just defying all the odds. He finally got hit around for back on June the 12th against these Hoppers. That was the 3rd time that he had faced off against this team, and he actually, coming into that game, had a 1-0 record against the Diamond Hoppers. But the last outing was, of course, a little bit rougher than he would have liked, but the beauty of the game, there's always tomorrow, and that's exactly what Will Marshall had preached about in that conversation that I had with him out at the media desk pregame. And just one of my all-around favorite mentalities and personalities here at the USPBL.
Yeah, Will Marshall's all about the game here. He's no complaints at all. He gets to trot out and pitch every couple days, and he's not going to complain about that one bit. Does what he loves.
This 3-1 pitch in on the hands at 84 miles an hour. The one-out walk is recorded. First time Cody Rudisilli reaches base safely here tonight, and that'll bring up Mr. Kevin Watley.
Yeah, that one just missed the inside part of the plate. The home plate umpire stood there for a second and kind of contemplated, but they're going to give Rudisilli the walk here. One out, runner on first. Watley stepped to the plate. Watley with batting only a 191 to start. Homer and 7 RBIs.
First pitch rolled to the left side of the infield. Ledoux's going to try and go to second to get the lead runner, and in the end it's going to prove costly here for the Unicorns. It was a really close play over there at the second base bag, but probably should have went to first with it, getting there just in the nick of time. Both Rudisilli and Watley. So it's a really weird situation. I've been around the game for a long time, but do you rule that a base knock, or is that a fielder's choice there, Mr. Brad?
I just wrote it down as a fielder's choice because the whole fielder's choice single debate here is if the fielder would have chose to throw the ball to first base, would he have gotten him out? Routinely, yes, he would have gotten him out there. So that's what I'm going to write in the fielder's choice. But I could see it being ruled the other way.
So standing in here now is Cameron Coons. Coons on the night 0 for 1 with that ground out over to Ledoux. He's been busy all night long. Both of these guys at the third base bag have been moving around quite a bit here this evening. Marshall, meanwhile, missing the zone against Coons in this first pitch he has. There's the slider at 75. That one almost getting a piece of him, but Marshall will continue to work here and desperately could use another one of those ground balls.
Yeah, and in that situation there, it was a tough play. When Ledoux grabbed that grounder at third, first thing I thought was there's no way he was getting him at second. And once you make that attempt to second, and if he's already coming in safe, you're going to have a tough time trying to get him at first too. So probably should have went to first there. But you still got the double play set up here, 2-1 count to Coons. And let's see if Marshall can get out of this thing with no damage.
Mentioned, people, the Hoppers coming into play tonight with a 9-6 record, sitting in first place in the league. The Unicorns, meanwhile, sitting at 7-9, sitting in fourth place with these four teams in the league. This 2-1 pitch, a breaking ball in there at 74 miles an hour. Colby Mayola in center field with an opportunity to get two, but sliding in safely to third base is Rudisilli. And you almost wonder if maybe that ball should have gotten thrown to second to prevent Watley from getting into scoring position as well. But in the end, a good out recorded, but still not out of this one just yet. Two runners on the base pass in scoring position. You know what we like to call those here at the USPBL?
What's that, Rich?
A couple of hoppers on the lily pads.
A couple of hoppers on the pads, huh? Yeah, for that play out in center field, if you're center fielder, Colby Mayola there, in that situation, anytime the ball is hit to you and you have to make the throw to third there because anytime it's hit towards the left-hand side of the field, which that one was, you got to make that throw there. And it's just about getting in the position to make the best throw possible. And I don't think he really did that on that situation there, and that's why he didn't get the runner at third. But if he throws it to second there, he would have kept him at first. Again, when you're on the left-hand side of the field, you got to at least make an attempt if the ball's not too deep.
And I'll tell you what, if Thomas Lukongo can get a base knock here, that would be the difference between a one-run game and a tie game. If you end up forcing Watley to stay at first base, he would, of course, not come in to score on a single. But, of course, we'll let the cards fall as Lukongo has gone down to this count here 0-2. Marshall trying to get out of this jam and keep his team out in front by 2. That 77-mile-an-hour slider, a lot of lateral movement on it, but a better job by Lukongo to hold off and keep this battle alive.
Yeah, in the situation here, if you're Marshall, you don't have much hop to your heater, but you've thrown a couple breaking balls to Lukago here. You might be able to get him fooled with one up high. He's going to go low with it.
Instead, tries to get him to chase it one in the dirt. Lukago 1 for 1 on the night, reached on the single back in the previous third inning. The count even at 2-2. There is a base open at first, but Will Marshall trying to limit the amount of pitches as he's going to try and retire Lukago here. The 2-2 pitch, fastball in there at 84, missing way outside. And so you see the fastball in there at 2-2 if you're Lukago, not hit the zone at all, nowhere near it. Do you expect a breaking ball here?
I mean, in the situation, he's missed 2 fastballs in a row. That should be your control pitch. That's what you should be able to hit the zone with. You can't walk him here and turn the lineup over to Adams on top.
He, in fact, sticks with the fastball. This one looks like it'll be enough to get out of play and into the grandstands here at the ballpark. And in the end, somebody gets a lucky souvenir. It had hopped in about the 4th or 5th row here and ended up getting all the way to the top. And we have conversations with, or at least I have conversations with some of you broadcasting interns about the possibility of getting a foul ball hit to us.
Oh, it's not good.
Here in the booth. The chances are slim to none. But I'll tell you what, if we see something hop over in front of us, make a sort of bounce like that, it could very well get up here.
I stood up. I was getting ready to get my hand out there. I got nice hands.
So instead of the retirement for Thomas Lukango, Will Marshall ends up walking him on the full count affair, and that one loads up the lily pads here with hoppers, and that'll give way to the top of this order. Rudisilli on third, Watley at second, Lukango at first, and Patrick Adams, who singled in his last at-bat, comes up to the plate. The hometown product coming to us from Warren D. LaSalle High School, Macomb Community College, and then Wayne State University. It's a really nice story here for Patrick Adams as he's found a home here with these Eastside Diamond Hoppers.
Yeah, if you're Marshall there, you can't do that. Adams has had 2 good plate appearances thus far, and now you load the bases up for him. He's going to drive it.
A line shot out into left center field, but Carter Grote will range to his left to make it. I tell you what, Dakota, off the bat, that one looked like a bases clearing double, and instead it'll fall into the mitt of Carter Grote, and the Hoppers remain off the scoreboard. A good job by Marshall to limit the damage and retire Adams in a big spot as they go down in the top half of the 4th. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland, Dakota Brecht here with you. We're through 3.5 innings of play. Utica Unicorns out in front by a score of 2-0. The day is done for starter Mr. Jack Herzing. He goes 3 innings, allows 2 earned runs on 4 hits, gives up 2 walks, but strikes out 5 in his effort, and he now gives way to the man out of South Elan, Illinois, Mr. Tyler Tamaka.
Yeah, I don't know. For Herzing today, it was just a matter of couldn't find the command on his pitches, and you're going to run into that problem when you throw as many breaking balls as Herzing does. But it's something he's got to work on, and I'm sure Justin Orenduff and the guys with the DVS program have an answer for him. They always do. So I'm not concerned about him. I think he'll jump right back out there for his next start.
So Conley has worked the count here in his favor, 2-0. Tamaka with that 2-0 delivery, this time inside, almost gets a piece of Conley, and I don't know if he's a ball magnet or what he's doing out there, but he was hit by a pitch and came in to score the first run of the game for these Corns, and then reached on a single back in that long second inning.
Infield single for the big guy, too. Now, Rich, here's a question for you. Do you mark that in your scorebook?
Infield single?
Yeah, how do you mark that?
I'll tell you what, half the time I catch myself doing it, and other times I simply don't. And, you try your best to keep up with everything, and I actually, in this moment, did not. So good job over there by Mr.
I don't mark it. I just trust my memory on that one to remember that he had an infield single. But what do you even mark that as?
Well, so if I do, in fact, end up marking it as Conley reaches on the base on balls, sometimes I'll put the single up in the left-hand corner where I put the result of the at-bat with a little square around it, and then if it is, in fact, in the infield, I'll just put an INF underneath the said box with a little bit of room there. But
that's fair enough. Fair enough.
Conley, meanwhile, reaches on that full count, or excuse me, 3-1 count, base on balls. He reaches base safely for the 3rd consecutive time, and now Carter Grote, who is yet to have been retired, a single and a reach on an error for him through his first 2 plate appearances, have the beer batter of the game.
I was just about to say, a beer batter of the game. What happens when Carter Grote gets a hit tonight?
Yeah, so down the left field line, we have $5 beers, and it's, I believe, only for that inning, so you got to get them quick, and then it restarts, I guess I should say, by the next time he's up, and the opportunity will continue.
Yeah, it's over in the Short Hops Beer Garden down the third base side. And, I want to give a quick shout out to the staff here at USPBL. When I first started working here, about a week before the season started, that wasn't even there. And then by opening day, beautiful down there. They did a fantastic job of getting that up in time.
It's crazy how fast things just pop out, as this one, the 0-2 pitch, missing high and outside. You see Josh McAdams there behind the dish trying to keep tabs on Chris Conley as he tosses that one to first base, but Conley aware over there, the big fella. Tamaka sets and is ready for the 1-2. Slider in on the hands. It ends up going over the plate. Grote on that 1-2 pitch, fouls it off down that third baseline, simply just a pinch early.
And you see Jim Essien not even flinch down the third base side. He's a professional. He knows.
Tamaka coming to us from Loris College in his 2nd outing of the season. That one fouled off once again. Tamaka's done well, even though he gave up the 2 walks in that outing back on June the 14th against these Unicorns. Did not allow any runs, did not give up any hits, and had 1 strikeout against the 5 batters that he faced. But in the end, the one number that matters is that good old 0.00 ERA. And if you can keep that down, possibilities are endless. And there's one guy on the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers, Mr. Brian Heldman, who actually had a 0.00 ERA through, I believe it was his first 11 or 12 relief appearances.
That's real impressive
for these Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. But his last outing, he did in fact give up an earned run or 2, and it was a nice run for Brian Heldman, but He eventually gave up his first earned run of the season, but an incredible season from him thus far. Carter Grote, meanwhile, on that 1-2 offer, flies one out to dead center field. Routine catch there for Cody Rudisilli, retires Carter Grote. JJ, our field general out there taking care of business as he picks up that loose baseball bat, and that'll make it Jimmy Latona to stand in, who, just like the two men before him, yet to have been retired on the day. He reached on a hit by pitch and a fielder's choice so far through the day for Mr. Latona.
Jimmy Latona, our 1-800-Hanson's player of the game this afternoon. See if Latona can give the fans some discounted tickets out in Section 104 tonight, huh?
That would be nice, as Latona fouls off the first pitch he sees here in this at-bat. Looked like it might have gotten a little piece of McAdams behind the dish, but Latona coming to us from Rochester, New York. A .234 average coming into play today with 11 hits, one of them leaving the park. 9 RBIs to his credit, 8 runs scored. Trying to keep things going here for these Unicorns. And how about that pitch in there at 90 miles an hour from Tyler Tamaka? Latona couldn't do anything with it but swing right through it.
Well, now he's hitting some gas. And just a funny side note here, I'd like to add, Latona has 9 RBIs, right? His former teammate, Spencer Barra, led the league with 17 RBIs, right? My senior year of high school, I finished with 12 RBIs, and guess where that landed me on my team?
Third.
First.
Oh, wow.
Led the team in RBIs with 12, and we played 32 games.
It's crazy how the workload gets more and more busy as the career continues, as Latona swings and misses through that pitch. Really nice couple of pitches thrown to Latona here by Tamaka, who's brought a little life behind that fastball. And now Brian Sobieski will stand in. 2 strikeouts on the day, but he did reach safely in his last strikeout when that ball got away from McAdams, and he actually came in to score the second run of the game. So a mistake ends up turning into a run. If that story could be told, time and time again, I mean, team that makes more mistakes in the end will most likely end up on the losing side of things. And so far, more mistakes made on the east side compared to this Utica team, as the 1-0 pitch to Sobieski in and high gets out of the way. The count 2-0.
Sobieski ahead of the count for the first time today. You mentioned a few minutes ago 2 strikeouts today. First one of the backwards variety. Second one swinging, and was able to make it down there to first base on another error by McAdams. Hopper's got 2 errors this afternoon, and I believe both are on McAdams behind the plate.
So Sobieski in here for his 3rd plate appearance. Over there at first base is Chris Conley.
Swinging 3-0.
Yeah, we've seen that twice now from these Unicorns. Once with Dan Ward back in that second inning where he eventually worked the walk. Only time he's reached base safely here today. And Sobieski on that 3-0, taking a big cut, but it'll end up getting fouled off and into the protective netting here in front of us. 3-1 pitch in the dirt. One hops over to McAdams. And with that base on balls, second one of the inning, gives the Unicorns a couple of base runners here in this bottom of the 4th inning. 2 on, 2 out. And Colby Mayola stands in for just the 3rd time on the season. 3rd time here tonight, a single and a walk to his credit thus far. So Mayola with 1,000 batting average, on base percentage right up there as well. And it's been tough to slow him down here tonight. This one, meanwhile, lofted high out there into center field, but underneath it is Rudisilli, and he comes up with it for the 3rd and final out. We're through 4 here at Jimmy John's Field. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Dakota Brecht here with you. It'll be Sebastian Diaz, Josh McAdams, and Lance Montano due up for these Eastside Diamond Hoppers, the 2-3-4 hitters, as they try and claw themselves back into this baseball game. Unicorns out in front 2-0 if you're just joining us. They got a run in the first on a couple of hit-by pitches and a couple of singles. And then in the third, an error after a strikeout led to a single and a double from Austin Ledoux that ended up driving in Brian Sobieski, and that's all she wrote thus far. Will Marshall out there for his second inning of work, faced off against 6 batters in that 4th inning. Didn't allow any runs, but for the count it second time today, the Hoppers left the bases loaded, and that's honestly been the story of this game so far. Overall, the Hoppers with, count 'em, 7 men left on base through the first 4 frames, and then for the Unicorns, count 'em, 10. They've left 10 on base. Meanwhile, the 1-2 pitch hit to the left side of the infield, and that kerfuffle will unfortunately go down in the books as another, I take it back. It looks like that one will, in fact, be a hit. It looked as if Guzman had made a little mistake there, but looks like they will end up marking it as a base knock. That one was right around that 5-6 hole to the left side of the infield, and Guzman had to range really far to his right and just could not corral that baseball in time. So Diaz reaches safely with that leadoff single, and now my pick, the stick contestant, Mr. Josh McAdams, standing in.
Yeah, I don't agree with that call at all. I think that was more routine than the scorekeeper thought there. I think he should have made that play. No problem there, and lots of sloppy play this evening so far. I'm not sure what's going on between the unis and the Hoppers here, but let's see if they can clean it up for the last 5 innings or so.
Marshall, like we mentioned, back out here for his second inning of work. Diaz over there on first base as this one is fouled off and into the protective netting. McAdams quickly down in this count here, 0-2.
And, Rich, you're a pitcher. Take us back to your college days. How frustrating is it if you're a guy like Marshall and you see your fielders continue to make errors like this and continue to be sloppy out there? How frustrating is it when you got your ground ball and your fielders just couldn't get it done behind you?
Yeah, so as big of a mental game that this great game of baseball is, that's the biggest thing. You have to be able to turn the page, rip the page out of the book that you didn't like, and honestly just keep on writing the ship. And as tough and nagging as those errors or what, could be errors or things that just get out of the sleight of hand of some of these infielders, it could be tough, but Will Marshall, one of the strongest mindset out there, and look at that. The best hitter in this league thus far. My pick, the stick contestant, ends up going down on a couple of straight pitches, and Marshall records his first strikeout of the night, and it's a big one with 1 man on and 1 out now.
I touched on it earlier for the Unicorns. They're a little short-handed on the pitching staff. They play 3 games this weekend, tonight, tomorrow, and then they play another game Saturday. And I was told that Ologist is going to go for it again on Saturday. He's going to make another start. So they only have 7 guys for these next 3 games. So I know Marshall was talking about it earlier. It's going to be a grind for him this weekend, but I think they're going to be able to get through it. And that's probably why you see Marshall out here for his second inning of work, even after his struggles this past inning.
Yeah, it's not easy when your staff isn't as loaded as you would like it to be. You'll take any type of pitching that you can get. Montano, meanwhile, he's looked at the second straight ball.
Ground ball here would be huge for Marshall and the Unicorns here.
Not a lot of speed coming out of that batter's box. Montano on that 2-0 pitch, swings right through it. Count now 2-1. You got Diaz over there on first base, 4 stolen bases to his credit on the season through 15 games. So almost a third of the time you'll see Diaz get a stolen base. Let's see if he goes here. He's staying at first. The slider looked like it might have missed just low right there. A good spot from Marshall, just a pinch low, and an even better eye from Montano.
Yeah, tons of movement down in the Unicorns bullpen here. If Marshall, misses on another batter, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jimmy Essien go back to the pen. But again, they are short on in the pitching staff, so got to have these guys stretch out between the next 2 days at least.
That one missing the zone high. That is the 3rd walk of the night for Marshall. 2 in the fourth, and now 1 more here in this 5th inning. And like you mentioned, Dakota, there's some arms getting loose out in that left field bullpen for the Utica Unicorns, and no decision just yet, but it looks as if the right-hander out there getting loose is in fact ready. He stops his warm-up pitches, and this is Will Marshall's make it or break it moment here in this game. Johnny Knight the fourth standing in. 0 for 1 on the night with a pop out to Guzman at short, and he was hit by a pitch back in the 2nd inning, but you got 2 runners on with just the 1 out, and of course your team up by 2, tying run on the base paths. They will not make any rash decisions if Johnny Knight the fourth can get a base knock here. Marshall kicks, delivers that one in there at 82 miles an hour. Johnny Knight fouling it off, and he's quickly down in the count here 0-2.
If you're Marshall here, you definitely want to get Knight, because even if you get the ground ball, it'd have to be a real hard hit to get Knight running, because, you know, from earlier in the season, Johnny Knight the fourth let off a bunch for the Diamond Hoppers when they really went through their stretch there of solid baseball. So, you know, he's got good speed. Always get the bat on the ball. Let's see what happens here with Marshall and Knight.
That 0-2 breaking ball falls out. Johnny Knight the fourth trying to get his first hit of the night, and I just noticed he is number 5 every day, but he's actually rocking a 44 number jersey, former number of Gabe Gunter, former player in the league. As the 1-2 pitch to Johnny Knight the fourth, he swings right through, and that deceptive stuff from Mr. Will Marshall has been good enough to strike out 2 batters here in this top half of the 5th inning, and you get your objective done, you'll get to keep going, and he'll at least see Cody Rudisilli here in this top of the 5th inning. If he gets out of it, maybe another opportunity to go back out there in the 6th, but still a long game left to go as the Unicorns try to remain out in front here 2-0. Rudisilli, meanwhile, 0 for 1 on the night, hit that infield fly back to Luis Diaz, the second baseman, back in that 2nd inning. And then he reached on a base on balls, made it all the way to 3rd in the 4th, but could not come in to score. Marshall ready for the 1-0 pitch. That one fouled off the leg of Rudisilli, and the count even at 1-1.
You know, the one thing I'm looking at with Marshall so far, we've had a chance to see him for this past inning and a half of work. The reason why I think he's walking so many guys and he's not getting as many swings and misses as he like, on his wipeout slider there, it dies away from the right-handed batters every single time. He is showcasing that pitch so much coming in. I don't know if it's a size issue. You know, he is up at 5'4", 155 pounds. He can't hide the ball too well behind his small frame. But you can see the slider, the breakout slider, coming out of his hand before he even throws it.
Line drive over there to the shortstop. The umpire falls to get out of the way, but he continues to make the call. Everybody helping each other out here, but the Hoppers just can't seem to get a run up on the board. Good defense from this infield from the Utica Unicorns, and we head to the home half of the 5th. They're still out in front here, 2-0. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Dakota Brecht here with you. We're through 4.5 innings of play. Utica Unicorns out in front by a score of 2-0. This ball looks like it might have enough to get out of the field of play, but underneath it to make the catch is the catcher, Josh McAdams. Even though you couldn't see that there on our YouTube feed, I promise you he did, in fact, come up with the catch. And that is out number 1 recorded there. That retires Mr. Austin Ladeau as Luis Diaz now stands in for his 3rd plate appearance, trying to avoid his 3rd strikeout of the evening.
Yeah, that was a weird one. I thought it hit the netting a little bit when he went to make that catch there. It was an odd play there from McAdams, but he got the job done.
First pitch to Diaz. Missing the zone here, 1-0. This one might have been out of the zone, but Diaz could not let the bat hold by, and he ends up evening this count up at 1-1. Diaz on the 1-1 effort looks at ball 2. Diaz desperately trying to avoid his 3rd strikeout of the day, and it would be a tough night as this one called strike here on that 2-1 effort evens this count up at 2-2. But Diaz, who is playing in only his 3rd game of the season with these Utica Unicorns, just the 111 average coming into play today, and he looks like he's going to take this one to the right side of the infield. A short hop over there to Sebastian Diaz, and one Diaz hits it to another. And
That's happened twice today, hasn't it?
It has, in fact. We saw it on the other end when Sebastian had grounded out to Luis back in that first frame for the 2nd out of the ball game. But one Diaz grounds out to the other, and Luis is retired via the 4-3 putout. Both of these Diazes playing second base respectively for each of these teams. And as we continue to look on our score sheet here, Mr. Brecht.
Yes, sir. What do we got, Rich?
We have had 1 half-inning frame of 1-2-3 baseball. An opportunity here to see it for just the 2nd time in our 10th half inning. It's been a little bit of a long one. We've not seen the greatest of pitching. We saw Kyle Olagus have a good start, but he only went the 3 frames. And then on the other end, Herzing with 77 pitches through just 3 innings, 42 of them for strikes. And this one will not allow it to be the 1-2-3 inning. Sorry to jinx it there, Mr. Dakota, but kind of wanted to see how it exactly would go as planned or not. And instead, Guzman had Diaz on the brain. Guzman ends up getting the base knocked to keep the inning going here for the Unicorns.
You know, Rich, this is what you're going to get for you breaking up the 1-2-3 inning there, because I knew it was going to happen. First, you bring that up, knew that our man Adrian Guzman was going to get a knock there, but this is what you're going to be your payback for this. Dan Ward's going to step up to the plate. Mine pick the stick. A little 2-run shot here, extend that lead by 2, make it 4-0 Unicorns, just because you ruined our little 1-2-3 inning.
Hey, it continues here for your guy, and in the end, if I jinx that and Ward gets called out, how mad are you going to be?
I'll be pretty upset. No, it's definitely been a long game this evening. I don't know what's going on. Sloppy play on both sides, lots of walks, and for all the ladies in attendance tonight on Ladies' Night, it's been a boring one.
Hopefully the wine is flowing for them, but Ward, meanwhile, on the 1-0 pitch, misses the zone. Ward looks at ball 2, and we mentioned how the ladies are in attendance here for Winning Wednesday, Wine Wednesday. And speaking of wine, alcoholic beverages, the Baltimore Orioles and a bar that is actually on the strip right in Baltimore there near Camden Yards. Chris Davis, the big fella playing for Baltimore, had been batting 150 through the first month or so of the season, and that restaurant or bar, what have you, actually throughout the first month of the season offered free shots to everybody inside the bar whenever Chris Davis gets a base knock, a little bar promotion that they're doing. And transitioning into this Chris Davis conversation, saw something come up on the internet a little bit ago, and who's the best player in baseball? Should be a pretty quick answer.
Best player in baseball right now, Mike Trout.
So Mike Trout could go 0 for his next 400 at-bats and still have a higher OPS than what Chris Davis currently has.
No way.
Just a crazy, crazy conundrum as this one ends up going up the middle and into the outfield. So
I wasn't wrong.
my jinx ends up proving pivotal for your pick-the-stick contestant. Mr. Dan Ward gets his first hit of the night, second time he reaches base safely, and back-to-back two-out singles have the Unicorns with a threat here in the home half of the fifth.
Yeah, back to your little Chris Davis point. That's a crazy stat you rolled up on there. But, I mean, for the Orioles, they're stuck. They're paying Chris Davis way too much money, and that's a situation you run into a lot in Major League Baseball. And, you know, it happens with everyone out there, but that's not a problem you're running into in the USPBL here, because these guys are out here playing ball. They want to be out there playing ball, and they're giving it their all to get to the next level. So that just proves to the competitive nature we have at Jimmy John's Field, and it makes this even more enjoyable here.
And not only that, but the purity, as all these guys still playing for, of course, the love of the game, and, of course, trying to still keep their careers in motion as Conley looks at called strike one. But how about this? A guy playing in just his second game of the season for these Unicorns, reached on a hit by pitch in the first, came in to score, singled in the second, got to second, and then reached on a base on balls in the fourth. This guy's really seeing the ball well here in this one, as that 1-1 slider misses the zone and brings the count to 2-1 here against the big fella batting from the left side.
Been seeing the ball well since he got here. You know, excited to see what Chris Conley can do. You know, the native of Derby, New York.
That one, for a second, thought it might have gotten enough away from Josh McAdams there behind the dish, but he does a good job to keep that one in his presence and not allow Adrian Guzman or Dan Ward to think about moving up.
You know, one thing I noticed about McAdams, I don't know how much our YouTube viewers can see this, but he wears the hard hat, the catcher's hat, forward, which I think is an odd thing. I know when I umpire, I always wear the hat backwards. I don't know if I'm wearing it wrong or if McAdams is wearing it differently. He's going to lose him here. But
So it's funny you say that, because I used to umpire myself back in the day before, of course, dedicating my summers to broadcasting baseball, which I'll be doing for hopefully the rest of my adult life. And when I used to umpire, I actually used to wear it backwards, and the mask would always kind of be a little bit loose, and then putting it forward, you got the metal frame in the front of it. It actually kind of sits on there pretty nicely, pending, of course, the size and the fit of your head out there with the mask. But if it can fit, it'll end up sitting nice and tight on the bill of the cap, and probably the reason why McAdams has it up front there.
Well, you know what the issue I run into is then, have you seen the size of my head, Rich? It's massive. That's probably why I can't wear it forward.
Yeah, unfortunately for all of our fans watching the broadcast, we can't get a live look in of the booth. But, yeah, definitely a big head.
It's a big head, yeah. I'm not going to deny it.
Grote, meanwhile, using his noggin all season long with all of his stats. He, on the night, has reached base safely twice, flew out to dead center back in the previous inning, but bases loaded, and this one hit high and deep out to left field. It's trouble. Is it gone? Off the top of the wall. Rounding third and heading for home is Dan Ward. Rounding third and coming for home. It'll be a close play, but in the end, getting to third, sliding in safely is Carter Grote. He clears the bases, and the Unicorns take the 5-0 lead.
Carter Grote unloading on one. Clear the bases, young man.
So much for a 1-2-3 inning for these Hoppers, and the lead adding on here for these Unicorns. It's now 5-0, and we'll see if that will be it for Tyler Tamaka. There are some arms getting loose in that bullpen, and just a tough break right there for the Diamond Hoppers, who are struggling to get to this 10th win.
Yeah, how about that at bat by Carter Grote? We were just talking earlier about how he's been swinging the bat so well. Second hit of the day. I mean, off the bat, I thought that thing was gone. I thought he was round on the bases there. But just a great at-bat by Grote. Unicorns rolling tonight, Rich.
Yeah, the Hoppers, who we mentioned, sit at 9-6 on the season. They're 7-3 in their last 10, but overall, the Unicorns having better at-bats here tonight, and Carter Grote doing his job as this three-hole hitter. Of course, the spot where you think you're putting your best hitter in this lineup, and he comes through, second hit of the night, and he's still standing over there at third base, hoping his buddy Jimmy Latona can get his first base hit of the night and drive in Mr. Grote as well.
Oh, Latona's due. He's definitely started the season off hot. Big power guy, and he's definitely due here for a nice RBI knock.
Count 1-0 on Latona. JJ, the field general, joining us up here in the booth.
You know, JJ needs a break every now and then. He does some hard work out there.
JJ fetching the loose bats. Couple innings to go, delivering waters to the umpires, and he gets his breaks up here in the broadcast booth, which I can't complain about. See a dog. I mean, here at the ballpark, you get baseball and you get golden retrievers. I mean, you really can't beat
not
that.
a really better combo, and especially JJ. He does a good job, and well-deserved.
So JJ will chill with us for at least another out here in this one. It's been long for these Hoppers to try and get this third and final out, in fact, and since they've had 2 outs, it's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight men to reach base safely. As the runner's now on the corners here. Sobieski on the night, reached base safely on a drop third strike, and then reached on a base on balls in his last at-bat. Did have the 1 strikeout back in the first inning.
Yeah, Sobieski looking to drive in a couple more runs. He's already got 2 RBIs on the season so far.
It's big swing and a miss right there on the 0-1 effort. And if you're Tamaka here, you wonder if this could possibly be your final frame on the night. We knew coming into today's action that with Herzing and Olagus out on the hill, we knew that these bullpens were going to play a pivotal role in this game, and we're still sitting in this home half of the 5th inning. Long way to go here in this one as Sobieski's trying to avoid his third and final strike of the at-bat, but he will not be able to avoid it. He gets rung up on the backwards K, and the Unicorns put up a 3 spot in the home half of the 5th inning to give themselves the 5-0 lead. Unicorns looking to get on the board here as we head to the 6th inning. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And as we try to get back on the air, Kevin Watley getting hit in the head. We didn't even get to mention the new arm out on the mound for the Hoppers, but that's a scary sight right there for Kevin Watley. But you love to see him end up getting up on his own feet. And
yeah, that's a scary situation if you're Kevin Watley, Paul Noce, and the rest of the Eastside Diamond Hoppers. And I didn't even get a chance to see who our new arm is. I believe that's number 21. Is that Kyle Herrick, excuse me. That's a tough situation.
Yeah, you never like seeing that, but thankfully for Watley's case, he is in fact coherent and okay. That baseball helmet just got completely knocked off of the head, and thank God we do have those protective helmets nowadays. You know, maybe 60 some odd years ago that would have been a different story, but Coons meanwhile hits a high fly ball out into left center field. The man who had that bases clearing extra base hit to give the Unicorns the 5-0 lead in the bottom of the 5th inning ends up coming up with the catch here for out number 1. And staying over there at first is Watley.
Yeah, Coons put a little ride into that one, but to no avail. And really surprised that Watley stayed in that game. I mean, he came up real shooken up, and as you know, we were trying to get back on air. You heard the plunk off the helmet there. Never a good sign, but it looks like he's all right down there, and he's going to stay in this game.
Meanwhile, Thomas Lacongo standing in for his 3rd time here tonight. Looks at a called strike 1 to begin the at-bat, and we should probably tell you a little bit about this guy on the mound. That's Mr. Kyle Herrick coming to us from Adel, Iowa. He ends up giving up that base knock down in the right field corner. Rounding second, heading to third is Watley. Rounding third, heading for home. It looks like he's going to get in safely. And thinking about third was Lacongo, but that errant throw falls right into the mitt of Jimmy Latona. And that's an RBI double right there for the big fella. And that puts the Hoppers on the board finally here in this top of the 6th inning. I called it.
A great piece of hitting there by Lacongo. He just took the ball on the outside part of the plate, drove it down the right field line, and the right fielder, Brian Sobieski, couldn't get over there in time. Ball was just trailing away from him off the bat of the right-hander, Lacongo.
So the hit by pitch, it's been quite the story here today. That's the 4th batter that we've seen drilled by a pitch. 2 aside for both of these staffs. Lacongo with the RBI double stands in at 2nd. Back to the top of this east side order we go. Patrick Adams on the day. 1 for 3 with a single and 2 flyouts to the left fielder, Carter Grote.
Pat Adams has had some pretty solid plate appearances so far today, and look to get his Diamond Hoppers up a little bit as Latona loses that one.
That one getting away from Latona. Little rough start here for Kyle Herrick to begin this top half of the 6th inning, and already at third base is Thomas Lacongo with just the 1 out.
You know, I hate to say it, but there's been some sloppy play by both parts of the catchers this afternoon, evening, I guess now. But usually Latona's pretty sure-handed behind the plate, so.
Meanwhile, this one getting out of play. Adams fouls it off. That one once again fouled off, so Adams continues to attack the zone here. We mentioned how Patrick Adams, coming to us from Wayne State University, the junior in 40 games, 30 starts, had a .236 batting average, and it looks like he's going to get a sacrifice fly out, but almost a play at the plate. Carter Grote made that one a lot closer than it probably should have been. And how about that throw right there from the left fielder? You know, we talk so much about some of these shorter guys in this league, and Carter Grote, he's been tremendous so far this year.
He has been, and he actually made that to a point where I don't think Jimmy Latona was even ready for that. And if you might have been a little more prepared, I think you might have had a play at the plate. Latona kind of grabbed it at the last second and threw it back towards Lacongo trying to score. But, I mean, what an arm by Carter Grote out in left field. He's really doing it all today.
Grote, one of the shorter guys in this league, but he has been absolutely tremendous so far this year. The numbers continuing to climb, and for plays like that, which don't go towards the stat sheet, are the ones that really help develop you and get you to the next level. And if there's any scouts in attendance here tonight, you got to imagine that Carter Grote name coming across the eyes and making its way probably to higher up for some of these scouts if they are in attendance here tonight. But we mentioned it's our first of 5 here this weekend at the ballpark. Tomorrow night it'll be Thirsty Thursday, presented by David Busters, as well as our Jimmy Buffett night. The Westside Woolly Mammoths will be rocking the patented Jimmy Buffett jerseys. Those will be fun to look at tomorrow night. And then Friday night, of course, our Xfinity Fireworks Fridays. That game will be the Westside Woolly Mammoths and the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. And then on Saturday, those Beavers taking on these Unicorns. It'll be 99.5 WYCD Country Music Night. The Derek Winters Band, presented by Top Hat Masonry, will be in attendance. And then on Sunday, of course, Sunday Fun Day at the ballpark, our Sunday matinee contest, part of our Neverland journey, will end up being the Hoppers and the Mammoths. But my pick, the stick contestant, Josh McAdams, is retired for the third and final out. He is yet to get a hit, so Mr. Ward out there in front in our battle here, Mr. Breck. But we're through 5.5 here at the ballpark. Unicorns out in front by 3. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Dakota Brecht here with you. We are through 5.5 innings of play. Tyler Tamaka's day on the hill is done. He goes 2 innings, allows the 3 earned runs on 3 hits, gives up the 3 walks, which are always killer, but did have the 2 strikeouts. He gives way to Mr. Don Warner coming in, the right-hander.
We got a pretty cool story with Don Warner that happened today. It was a big surprise for him. You know, I knew about him because I was part of the pregame and all that stuff. But Don Warner's brother, Joaquin Warner, actually flew in from out west today to surprise Don, and he got in touch with some of the people here at USPBL. And Don Warner was asked to catch the first pitches behind home plate today, so he went out there, and Joaquin, his brother, surprised him out on the field, and they shared a moment together after the first pitch, and it was a real nice thing. I guess the two don't get to see each other much, so real touching moment for the 2 Warner brothers.
That is really nice. Warner coming to us from Lovelock, Nevada, so quite the trip for the brother. Always love to see the brotherly love getting shown. And standing in here for these Unicorns to begin this home half of the 6th inning, the only batter who did not have an at-bat in that 5th inning, Mr. Colby Mayola. Mayola, looks at 3 straight balls and then swinging and missing at that 3-1 count. Has worked the count full. Let's see if Warner can battle back in this one with the brother in attendance. Payoff pitch, fastball outside corner, just missing the zone. And how about that debut there for Colby Mayola? His 2nd walk of the night, also has a single to his credit. First man on here for the Unicorns in this home half of the 6th.
Not sure where that one missed there for Warner. It was right on the outside part of the plate, but give to home plate umpire. He's got a better look here than there's one thing. From personal experience, there's one thing I will never do as a fan, as a broadcaster, as a player. I'll be criticizing an umpire because it is the truth that they have the best seat in the house.
Yeah, we definitely get the second best seat in the house behind the umpire. Maybe as far as a view goes, we're number 1, but as far as an optical view where you need to be on your game, of course, that man right behind the dish, no better seat. Meanwhile, Austin Ledoux stands in for the 4th time here tonight. He had that big RBI double back in the 3rd inning that drove in the 2nd run of the game for these Hoppers. For these Corns. Ledoux down in the count here, 0-1, and you see Warner's delivery. It's more evident when he's coming from the windup, but it's definitely crafty and
it's old school.
It is old school. He brings that glove over the head, and then of course, that's on the windup, but as far as the stretch position goes, it's still not as normal as you would think. He brings that front leg up, comes set, brings it back, breaking ball in there for a called strike, brings the count to 1-2 here against Ledoux.
Well, and with Warner, I mean, his height's a little deceiving and stuff, and you look at him, he's only 5'10". But with Warner, he's still got good stuff. He's got that awkward delivery, awkward motion, but he just touched 92 on the gun a couple pitches ago, and good deceptive movement on his breaking ball. So Warner could be going places.
That one outside corner. Speaking of going places, Austin Ledoux is going to go nowhere but the bench. That one called strike on the outer half, and Ledoux is retired for out number 1.
Yeah, great breaking ball there by Warner. Had Ledoux completely fooled on it. Got one down here. See if he can get Luis Diaz aground into the inning-ending double play.
So Diaz standing in, 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts and a ground out to his credit. So still looking for his first hit of the night. And now that I'm looking through this entire Utica lineup, in fact, Mr. Diaz, the only batter to not reach base safely, as that one gets away from Warner, and because of it, Colby Mayola will get into scoring position with ease.
Yeah, I think that one got away from McAdams a little more than it got away from Warner. I think they might have crossed him up a little bit on the signs, but we'll see if he can battle back here. Double play is now out of effect, but see what Warner can do.
This one taken to the opposite field, and it proves costly here for these Hoppers, but ends up not coming in to score is number 4, Colby Mayola. He gets over to third base, but Diaz gets his first hit of the day. You'll love to see that for a guy who has been struggling to start his USPBL career, and now Adrian Guzman will stand in with runners on the corners and just the one out.
And now if you're manager Jim Essien here, do you put Diaz on the move with Guzman up? Contact hitter Guzman, runners at the corners, one out.
So the sole fact that they're up by 3 here in this sixth inning, I would try it. I maybe wouldn't try it if it was the other way around, if it was the Hoppers. The last thing you want to do is run into an out and give it away. But with a 3-run cushion here and the guy, like you mentioned, Guzman up at the plate, I wouldn't hate it if I saw it.
No, I was just thinking about that when Diaz got it down to first. And, Guzman, he can always put the bat on the ball. And, if I'm Jim Essien, I want to keep things rolling here.
The 1-0 from Warner, fastball inside, and Guzman has worked the count in his favor here, 2-0. And I'll tell you what, last thing you want to see here is the bases loaded with Dan Ward coming up to the plate.
You don't want to see that at all if you're Paul Nochi and the Eastside Diamond Hoppers, and then you got Carter Grote, a couple batters behind that, who just cleared the bases last inning with a 3-run triple. So
not easy at the top of this Unicorn lineup.
Not at all. Finally starting to bring things together throughout the year if you're Jim Essien and his squad.
3-0 pitch, called strike on the outer half. Guzman was looking for a walk, but a good eye up there to not go after that 3-0 count, and even though we've seen that more than not here tonight.
Yeah, lots of 3-0 counts this evening, huh, Rich?
Far too many for my liking, as that one chopped to the left, just past the manager, Mr. Jim Essien, and nice job here from Wander to battle back in this count, but you could definitely use a strikeout. You'd love to see a ground ball turn into 2, but here's that situation where you would love to see a runner go from first to second, but always that threat of a strikeout throw out. Runner is in fact going. Ball misses outside, and because of it, the stolen base will not go down for Mr. Diaz. Guzman reaches the base safely for the second consecutive time. The bases are in fact loaded for Dan Ward.
Yeah, a little scouting report on our neighborhood manager down at third base, Jim Essien. He played parts of 11 seasons in the majors for a variety of teams. Played over in the National League a couple times, in the American League. Never got a chance to play here in Detroit, and he's a native of Detroit. Finished with a career batting average of .244, so he's about middle of the pack. Wasn't too bad, but definitely brings that baseball knowledge to his Unicorns and to the USPBL as a whole.
He's been great with 2 years with these Unicorns. Of course, year 1, when the Unicorns won it all, manager was Greg Grawl, as Ward has quickly found himself in a deep hole as the count is 0-2 here on the batter, and bases are loaded, nowhere to put them, but you get ahead of this leadoff hitter, and now I would try and maybe drop something in there and force Ward to chase after one. Cannot afford to give him anything too close.
No, the dangerous Ward up to the plate, but again, it's nice for Wander to be, as this one's fouled back, to be attacking Ward here after losing Guzman, and you lost Myola earlier. You gotta attack these hitters. There's been way too many walks today, way too many hit batters. You have to attack these hitters now, get things moving a little bit, and make the hitters beat you. I'd much rather see a guy go out there and give up a 2-run single or not, instead of walking runs in.
There's that breaker down in the dirt. Ward can't do anything with it. Chases after it for his first strikeout on the day. Second strikeout hit by pitch. He's clearly seeing the ball very well here tonight. Wander with the low 90s fastball. That one in there at 89. Called strike. Brings the count to 0-2 quickly here on Conley. But for as bad as some of these innings have been for the Hoppers defensively and on the mound, they have seemed to find a way to limit the damage. And I'll tell you what, Dakota, this game could be a lot more out of hand than it is right now because of some of these situations where these hitters are not being able to take advantage of base runners on for these Unicorns.
When it should be way more out of hand than it is. I mean, how many guys have been left on base for the Unicorns today, and they're still up 5-2. So you gotta really finish things out if you're the Hoppers here, and they've been doing their best at sneaking out of jams at the right times.
12 men left on base through the first 5 frames. It'll be 15 through 6 if Wander can retire Conley. Breaking ball that doesn't break brings the